Hey guys, this is Ken from Drag or Die. We have something a little different for you today. We are heading north to Hebron, Ohio for the Ohio Grudge Racing Uncaged event, which is going to be on Saturday. And we had a little downtime, so while we were in town a few weeks ago, we were supposed to do an interview with Bill Hoskinson, and we got busy at the track, and we had a little free time, so we went over to the Street Race Channel headquarters and asked Bill a few questions. Stay tuned, guys. After the interview, we have a few test hits of the Falcon. They were trying to get it ready for the Uncaged event at National Trails Raceway. Alright guys, well, we got Bill here, the old man from the Street Racing Channel, and this is Ken from Drag or Die, and we're going to ask him a few questions. But
did my wife screen these questions?
I don't think so.
Well, here we go.
We'll probably find out later. But all right, Bill. Well, let's start out with the basics. You know, where are you from? You know, how you got started in racing.
So, born and raised in Pataskala, Ohio. This is just not too far from here, town over. But my family's been in this area for a long, long time. My mom and dad's, both their families are from this area, and our family has just been here for a long, 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 long time, and never moved away. You know.
Yeah. So, what was your dad into racing, or how did you get the bug for it?
So my dad was into antique tractors and antique cars, and his first car was a '36 Chevy, two-door sedan.
Nice.
And he's always had antique cars and antique tractors, but he got a '55 Chevy and bought this car, which is the car we've got here now, the black car.
Mm-hmm.
And he used to be president of the Nifty Mid-50s Chevy Club, based out of Hebron, right down here where you guys are.
Yeah. Okay.
And they used to rent the track. They used to rent National Trail Raceway 2 or 3 times a year, and they'd have club meetings down there, and they'd have races. And Dad used to take the 55 down there and race it a little bit. There's a picture of it over there on the wall at one of the meets. That picture right there on the wall.
Yeah, that's awesome. It's been in the family so long.
Yeah, they bought that car in '74, and I was born in '73.
So you got the bug working on the farm, I'm sure, working on equipment and everything.
Yeah, we always had farm equipment and tractors and trucks and hot rods.
Something always to work on. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, with all that stuff going on, of course, did you start out bracket racing or street racing? You know, a lot of people started on the streets.
No, I pretty much started out with an old Nova that I had a 4-speed in it.
Mm-hmm.
And I went down there a couple times, and I was bracket racing, and I actually took out the points leader down there one day with a 4-speed, and they sent their Gestapo after me and told me I couldn't race there anymore without a blow-proof bell housing. So
try to shut you down.
Yeah, I got thrown out the first day. Yeah.
So, now, did you do any street stuff then, or you just kind of all track stuff? Or just...
No, it was all, I basically just bracket raced. I went in town to watch some of the street racing in the late 2000s and late 90s.
Yeah.
But I never really got much into the street racing thing until my kids got old enough to.
Yeah, and I'm sure, like, of course, the streets, you know, there was a lot of cruisins and stuff in the area. Like, we come up here when I was 14, and we were in the area, and it seemed like there was cruisins on Thursday, Friday night. So I think, of course, the car scene's always been pretty big here. So I'm sure you're out just running around.
Oh yeah.
Shifting gears. So. Well, so what brought the boys into it? You know, Tommy and Billy, of course. You know, they're a big part of the channel.
So the kids, they both had junior dragsters when they were young.
Okay.
And that got them started into bracket racing. And got them acquainted with driving techniques. You know, how to stage, how to cut a good reaction time, how to drive the finish line, and that got them started. And then about that time is when the Street Outlaws television show got popular.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And that, I think that got Billy's attention to the point where he would spend a lot of time in class on his phone watching YouTube videos.
Yeah, yeah.
1320 video and things like that. So it got his attention. So when he turned 16, we bought him the S10 that he's got now, that blue and white truck.
Mm-hmm.
And we had intended just to build that into a street strip car, run 12 flat index or 12 flat Sportsman Eliminator.
Yeah.
And we got invited to go street racing one night, and the bug bit.
Yeah.
That was it.
Then it's been history.
Yeah,
well, I think that builds a lot of, you know, with the bracket racing, you know, my dad done it, and, you know, it kind of builds up, like you said, driving skills, you know, with, you know, you still see Billy killing the light, you know, and that's what it takes a lot of times to win these, you know, you get out when somebody's a lot harder to catch it, you know, catch them, so.
Yeah, he's a really good driver, and in all honesty, Tommy was a better driver than Billy ever was.
Wow.
Yeah, Tommy won a $1,000 race for juniors one time and took out a 17-year-old track champion. He was like 9 or 10 years old.
Yeah.
And one of the slowest, junkiest cars there. And he won that $1,000 deal down their trails.
That's awesome. Well, I'm sure he'll be back out. They get the truck back, and now he'll have something
Yeah,
to
he'll
make
be
some,
running that
get some
Falcon.
seat time back in. And,
Yeah, he'll be running that Falcon this weekend. He'll have a good time with that.
oh yeah, yeah, it should be a good time now. With you know, I know you still do, you know, you still doing dirt work and stuff like that, and digging and stuff. And I know the boys have kind of, you know, took this one full time. How do you balance everything?
Well, it's difficult. I've pretty much retired from dirt work now. I pretty much just help the kids and do YouTube myself.
Yeah.
But I've been very fortunate that you know, when we when we got started traveling and street racing, it was never our intention to do what we do now.
Yeah.
When we first got started, you know, Billy wanted to travel. He wanted to go to Oklahoma. He wanted to go to New Orleans. He wanted to go to Memphis and do all these things. And when we first got started, you know, we did well locally,
Yeah.
street racing.
Yeah.
But when we started to put some of our aspirations out into the public, you know, we took a lot of ridicule.
Yeah.
You know, oh, you guys will never be able to compete down there. You can't go out west. You can't go down south. You guys will get run over, this, that, and the other. But there was a lot of hatred at first locally.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say hatred, but just people hating on you.
Oh,
you know?
yeah.
But you know, the first time we ever went street racing out of town or out of state was we went to the pad. And we took that truck to the final down there the very first night we ever raced, and we got beat in the final by a boy out of Texas. I can't think of the name of that car now. The white Mustang. Can't think of that guy's name. Eric.
Bain?
No.
No.
Well, I can't think of that guy's name now. It's been a while. But anyway, we run that truck down there, and we took out some heavy hitters, and did real well. And we've always done well down there at the pad, but mostly because our test spot resembles the pad very well.
Oh, yeah. That's a bucket list spot, you know.
Oh, yeah.
I'd like to get down there, and you know, of course, BJ, we met him. You know, he's a good dude, and I think it's a good time down there. But and like you said, a lot of times though, people do learn that. You know, we had a bunch of people that were fast on the street, but when you go out of town, you do have to step your game up. You know, it's a different level.
It's everybody thinks somebody else someplace else is always faster, and the truth is, the areas of the country that street race the most have the fastest street racers.
Of course, yeah.
It's common sense. I mean, it's just, that's fact.
Yeah.
So when you go out to the Midwest, you go out to Oklahoma and Kansas City, Missouri, those guys street race a lot,
Yeah.
and they've been doing it for a long time, and they're fast. If you go down to the pad, those guys down there street race on that spot a lot, and there's a lot of fast cars at the pad. But so it's relative. You know, up here where we're at, the roads aren't nearly as tight. They're not nearly as good as they are down south and out west.
Yeah.
So they naturally, those cars out there are going to be faster on their spots than we are back here with the freeze and thaw and the asphalt that we've got around here. It's just our roads aren't nearly as fast.
Oh man, and then some of the roads we have in our area, you know, there's still gravel on the road. We're racing on them, you know, but it does, you know, it's a driver's game too. A lot of this stuff, like you said, you know, you guys kind of adapted when you moved to different spots, and you know, when
It was difficult. It was difficult because, you know, there was a lot of people that doubted us. You know, not very many people had ever heard of anybody from Ohio traveling to go street race.
Yeah.
So everybody, you know, a lot of people doubted us. Some people still doubt us, but you know, we decided that we wanted to go do this, and we were going to do it whether we did well or whether we failed. We were either going to do it and have a good time, or we were going to do it and get better to have a good time. You know, I mean, there was no. We wanted to do this.
Exactly.
And it wasn't. We didn't do it intentionally to start a YouTube channel. We didn't do it for any other reason other than it's what my kids wanted to do, and it was a blast. You know, we had a great time doing it. But the YouTube channel just kind of happened.
Yeah.
You know, we didn't start doing this just to make a YouTube channel.
Yeah.
The YouTube channel just kind of happened after we got started.
Yeah. And like you said, you know, it's a lot to, you know, I face that too. You know, we're still weekend warriors. You know, you know, the wife does a lot of the work. You know, folding shirts, bagging them, selling them. You know, just to make money to keep going to the races. You know how it is, traveling and hotels, fuel, food. You know, and
you remember what I told you when you was down there at KD the other day?
Yeah. Yeah.
You said we'll swap shirts. I said, oh, you can have shirts, but we're buying yours.
Yeah. Yeah.
We've been where you're at, man. It's tough to get started. It is really hard.
And you know, like people think we're making money, you know, but really we're spending, you know. But you got to love what you're doing, you know. This is when we first got started, I was pushing dirt every day and doing dirt work, and Billy was working with me every day, and it literally almost bankrupted us. I believe it.
Because I spent everything that I made, plus some that I shouldn't have spent, and the machine shop bills got paid in cash, and the receipts got hidden from the wife, and you know, it was one of those deals where Vicky wasn't happy with me for a long time. You know, because we were always against it. You know, we just and it went on that way for years. I mean,
and you know, sometimes it is like that with any kind of race. You know, you know, you just got to keep on. You know, if you don't give up, then you just keep moving forward. But now I see the Ohio scene is pretty strong. You know, I've been to, you know, of course we come up with Pilato for one of the first Midnight Madnesses that you guys done, and you know, it's a you know, the tracks here are more outlaw. I like them though. It's a different atmosphere. You know, like it's kind of like no other. Now, is the scene pretty strong here, or is it like diverse? You know, certain people.
When we first started hosting events and promoting races, there was no such thing as people on the starting line in Ohio.
Yeah.
That was like, nobody ever seen anything like that. Like it was a big thing down south.
Yeah,
but up here, when we first started doing events at Pacemakers, the grudge races and the heads up stuff at Pacemakers was all prepped at that point. But there was a lot of people on the starting line, a lot of people betting, and we took a lot of criticism because, for one, all of these tracks around here were dedicated bracket race tracks.
Exactly.
And they're like nobody on the starting line, you know, rules.
Yeah.
And basically, when we came in, it was like everything out the window. It was like the Hell's Angels to them came in and just took over. You know, but it was a great time, and people started to realize, hey, you know, this is a lot of fun. And we took a lot of criticism at first because nobody thought we could do it. Like nobody thought that anybody would show up. You know, I had close friends of mine tell me, oh, there's no reason to have heads-up races here. We just go to Shady Side, or we go down to Memphis, or we go here, we go there. I'm like, nobody wants to travel that far from up here.
Yeah.
There's a lot of little guys. Like when we started this stuff, we never intended it to draw cars from all over the country. That did happen, but our intent was to create venues and races for the little guys like us.
Yeah.
That wanted to travel 2 or 3 hours at the most. That was
Yeah.
our budget.
Yep.
We couldn't afford.
Yeah, and a lot of people, they can't travel like that, and sometimes, you know how it is, you get burnt out, traveling these long trips, and it's fun, but you want to get home, you want to be in your bed, so
yeah.
if you can drive within a couple hours and give local people a place to race, like I said, it's a different atmosphere, and like it kind of favors the grudge side, like you said, North Carolina, you always seen people at, House of Hook, Piedmont, those places like that, money flying on. It's a different feeling. I mean, we still get criticism in some of the YouTube videos, like why are so many people on the line, but it's hard to explain unless you're not doing it, like you got to be doing it. And I think, I think a lot of tracks up here, that's what saved bracket tracks, in this area.
Yeah, they don't like to admit it, but the heads up stuff is what pays the bills.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I've seen you guys pack like that first Midnight Madness that we went to. It was huge. Especially for a small track. And
man, I'll tell you, this last one that we went to got a little bit of controversy going there because of what happened there. But
yeah,
we so look forward to that because from the beginning of the Midnight Madness, Billy's never been able to race in it.
Yeah,
He's made a pass or two at
Yeah.
the most.
yeah,
But he's never been able to enter the class and really focus on trying to race. And
Yeah.
I've always been stuck in the tower announcing.
yeah.
So I can tell you that job is not fun.
Oh, I believe it. It's a lot.
It's
of,
terrible.
It's a lot of stress.
You go from Uncle Terry passed away last week and he raced here for 20 years, and can you announce that he passed away in his obituary and this, that, and the other, and 5 minutes later you got 5-year-old Tommy here. It's his birthday, so sorry Uncle Terry, but hey, it's Tommy's birthday, so and then you get somebody, man, I lost my keys.
Yeah.
I need you to announce my keys, and then the first happy birthday, now you got 50 more, and you're trying to announce the races.
Yeah.
And oh my God, I hated it, but I did it. I hated it, but I did it because I wanted the races to do well, and I wanted everybody to have a good time.
Oh, exactly. Yeah, and I think, I know you guys did that Street Racers reunion kind of thing. Like, what was that, Kentucky?
That was down in Kentucky. That was at Mountain Park Dragway.
Yeah, and I think that was good, and I think it does burn you out with that promoting and stuff like that, and rule list, and and it probably was good for you all to be able to step back and just focus on the program.
That race down there pretty much put the nail in the coffin for me. That was it. After that one, I wanted out because Bill Lutz came down there and he didn't really understand how to street race, and his son didn't really understand how to staging, and he staged with the front bumper, and he was thinking he was staging with the spindles.
Mm-hmm.
So when BJ ran back to bang the light, he was motioning to come up on the two-step, but he was already staged.
Oh, okay.
And they didn't understand that, and they blamed us, and that turned into a big mess on the internet. So that was just, I had enough after that. That was a turning point for us. We wanted to get out of promoting and hosting events. I just had enough.
Yeah, and I mean, you can say you don't. You packed
Hey, man,
the house.
you know what?
People.
We did our part. I don't think anybody can say that we didn't do our part to help the events around here.
Yeah.
I don't think anybody can ever say we haven't tried to do our fair share.
And I think that sparked some other people that, like, the DTeam guys. I met them at, Chris come up.
Technically, they were before us.
Oh, were they?
Oh, yeah.
Well, like I say, they're keeping it going. Like we come up to Magnolia for one of the No Prep Manias when Chris was right before I was filming, and they run a tight ship. It was a good time,
and they helped us a lot of times at Midnight Madness. They ran the show at Midnight Madness there towards the end because it was just getting to the point where it was just so much.
Oh yeah, and
we just couldn't do it. To begin with, it was just me and Billy, and it just, the events got so large and so many people, we just couldn't handle it by ourselves anymore.
Yeah.
So we would hire DTeam to come in and run. I think they're running this event tomorrow down here at Trails.
Oh, okay, yeah, because I know Matt Rice, when him and Wes Skinner, they put on a race at the airport a few years back. He brought them down to
Yeah.
Berkeley Springs, and
Yeah.
you know, it
They
helps.
do a great
It helps
job.
get the lanes going. They know what they're doing, and they're good with everybody. So.
Mhm.
You know, and that's good. You know, like I haven't been to a no Prep Mania since, and we went to one. You know, the one not too long ago when you guys were having engine trouble and started working on the new engine. You know, it was a good time there, and unfortunately, you know, the accident happened, and you know, had to shut it down. But it's a good time when you go to the races, and you know, it's good that there's people still doing it. You know, it's still packing the place, and
I'm happy that we put our time in. I feel like we've done our part.
yeah,
And now, it's got to the point now where, I guess, that when we say we're going someplace, it helps draw people to the event.
yeah,
So, that's nice. I mean, I don't really understand the draw to our family so much, but I'm not really comfortable with it yet.
yeah.
I'm trying my best, but I guess if somehow what we do here in the shop and our YouTube channels help tracks and help promoters and help events, I'm cool with that, you know.
Yeah. And I'm sure it's probably like opened up some relationships with probably companies that you've already supported and stuff. Now they're kind of reaching out to you guys, but you know, I feel like people watch, you know, and I watch it. You know, people watch it like a TV show. They kind of feel, you know, like they know you guys, and they might live, you know, a country away. You know, I feel like, but that, you know, that's good when you got a reach like that. And
Well, I mean, Billy and I butt heads quite a bit here and there, but you know, one of the things that I always tried to tell him or explain to him was that there's a reason that his channel took off like it did, and then there's other channels that I think put out better content, but they still don't have the subscriber reach, and I think it's that personal connection.
yeah. I believe it is. I think, you know, like when you're all on when I'm, like, say we were a Dig or Die on the live feed, you know, people wanting to know what pair Billy was, wanting to know if you guys ran yet, making it to the next round. So there's definitely that connection there. And
Yeah, I mean,
that's what sets it apart, I think.
I think a lot of people watch Street Outlaws, and one thing that really bothers me is when they say that Justin Shearer or Dave Comstock or one of those guys, they're not real people anymore. Oh, that aggravates the shit out of me. I hate that.
Yeah.
But I guess you can't take the words literally. Obviously, they're real people.
Yeah.
But they feel disconnected with them because they can't relate to some of the stuff they're doing anymore.
Yeah.
But if you notice, Dave's now got a YouTube channel.
Yeah. A lot of them have YouTube channels.
And I think it's going to help these guys tremendously with their fan base, because now they get to see a little something other than just what the television producers show of them.
Yeah. I mean, they're normal people just like, you know, just like us. It's just they're on that different level of race, you know, the show. But, you know, of course, I'm sure the show can portray different things. You know, I mean, it is scripted, you know, most of it, but the racing's real, you know, they're really racing these cars. But yeah, I think you're right. I think there's, you know, I see a lot of the, you know, the Street Outlaws guys got a YouTube channel, and, you know, like you guys went down and, you know, and had that transmission trouble, and Boosted helped you guys out. How many people got to work the next day, you know, open up their shop?
He had to be at work at 7 a.m. the next morning, or 6 o'clock in the morning, and he helped us put that transmission back in at 3 o'clock.
Yeah. So you all could go racing, you know, and that just showed, you know, a lot of people that, you know, they might not see that side, and now with them having the channels, I think it does open it up.
It just takes a tremendous amount of time. Like, you have to be extremely productive to upload 3 times a week.
Yeah. Yeah.
You have to really hustle, and sometimes I get burnt out. And I'll be honest, sometimes I'm aggravated and I just don't feel like putting myself out there that day, you know, and you just decide to take a day off. But, you know, this isn't easy. It's, there's good days and there's bad days.
Yeah.
There's days where I want to beat lumps on my kids' heads, you know.
I'm sure.
You know, and they do stupid things, and,
Yeah.
and you get aggravated, or your wife won't leave you alone and pestering the shit out of you for something. It's just like,
Yeah.
I just can't get in the mood to.
And it's a lot, you know, even though you're not doing dirt work anymore, you're still very active. But like us, you know, being the weekend type people, you know, we come back on Sunday. Some of the people that live, you know, an hour or two away, they're already uploading videos. We're still on the road.
Right.
You know, I got to work all week. And then you come home and you edit. And sometimes, like you said, it's...
And that's another thing. You know, I told Billy, I've told him a bunch of times, there's a lot of different people out there taking the same footage
Yeah.
and put it together, a little different here, there,
Yeah.
but it's basically the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
But the difference with Billy's is it's a family thing.
Yeah.
And I think that's a lot of the draw. I think, because I'll be honest with you, there's a lot of other media companies out there that I feel personally do a better job putting an event video together than we do.
Yeah.
And Billy's probably going to be aggravated with me, but I think a lot of times he gets in a hurry because he's got other things. It's hard to race and keep these trucks running and keep the trailers and the tow vehicles together. It's every single day we're out here working on something, whether it's changing oil or fixing the scooter or fixing the trailer brakes or whatever it is. We're always busy, so a lot of times I feel like he could have done better, but he's got so much going on that he just kind of rushes through some of it.
Yeah.
But I think there's other people who do a really good job, like 660 Street, like Richard Garcia.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like they do so much better. But now there's so many different media companies doing that.
Oh, yeah.
You got to find a way to stand out.
Mm-hmm.
And good, right, wrong, indifferent, I guess it's the family thing here that.
Yeah, I think the personal connection, you know, like there's a lot of people doing the race stuff, and you know, there's a lot of like you said, a lot of channels doing it. Like I see, you know, ones out Midwest. There's some in California they're starting to get big followings, but unless you're like the only one in the area, you know, you're going to go to, and that's what you need for these events, though. Like the guys that work hard to promote them, you want the media there. That's how you bring people in, and you know, it's a memory. You know, you want to be able to see it. It's different nowadays. Like, you know, with my mom has boxes of pictures. You know, but like cars my dad's had, stuff I've had, you'd never see it if you didn't have that. Now, so pretty much what you guys are doing is making memories that you'll be able to look back on too. You know, with the kids and.
Yeah.
And I think, you know, like you said, I think that's what sets the channel apart. And, you know, it's good that it's working for you guys. I'm sure it's stressful, but...
No, I mean, it's not real bad. It's just, it's like we live under a microscope now.
Yeah.
You know, it doesn't really matter what I put on there. Someone's going to criticize something. I mean, it doesn't matter whether it's what you eat for lunch to what you drive or not wearing your seatbelt or you cuss too much or, you know. But, you know, I do cuss too much, but I try to do right, and I don't try to hide who I am.
Yeah.
I mean, what you see is what you get, and
yeah.
Some people come at me sideways and I get right back at them sideways, but that's just who I am.
Yeah.
I'm trying to do better.
Yeah, and I mean, you can't make everybody happy.
No,
It's
can't
hard.
make everybody
It's hard
happy.
to do that.
But at least when they meet me in person,
Yeah.
I scrap. At least when they meet me in person, I don't have to worry about putting on some persona or
Exactly. Yeah.
talking different or
Yeah.
anything. I mean, you okay, Scrap?
She's like, it's my turn.
You're spoiled rotten.
So, how do you feel about, you know, we were down at Digger Down, of course you guys were there, and,
That's just how she is.
she's doing her own stunts.
She's
for this
goofy.
video. So we were down at, of course we were down at Digger Die, and, you know, during the driver's meeting, the track owner was talking about, you know, NHRA and Wally, and, you know, they're trying to give out some for the no prep thing, which is, cool. A lot of people's never won a Wally, and how do you feel about it though? Do you think what do you think NHRA's intentions are when getting into this no prep thing?
So I have a little inside information on that
Mm-hmm.
that I don't think anybody else knows.
Yeah.
And I don't even know if I've ever said anything about it.
Yeah.
But when we were working with pacemakers, Rod Zolman and I, the track operator at the time, went to PRI together
Mm-hmm.
and went to a Division III track operators meeting together over there. And I was so aggravated when I went to that track operators meeting because it was all baloney. The stats and the figures that they were using to promote NHRA drag racing. I know that the statistics from my own kid's YouTube channel, which was tiny at the time,
Yeah.
was blowing away the stats that they were saying they were giving out for NHRA national events. I'm like, this can't be right.
Yeah.
This is terrible. But they're all thinking it's great. But we left there, and I told Rod that night, we went to dinner. I said, you know what you ought to do is you ought to consider giving a Wally away for a no prep point series.
Mm-hmm.
And he thought about it. And he's like, I could probably do that. So we came home and we put up a no prep series point series that we were going to do, and the winners were all going to get NHRA Wallies. And one of the local bracket racers got wind of it and just absolutely threw a fit, called Glendora,
Mm-hmm.
and I had to go to Rod's office one day to have a conference call with NHRA Division III office and the main offices in Glendora, and we had an hour-long phone conversation about it.
Mm-hmm.
And the end result was NHRA was totally okay with it. They were kind of on board with it.
Mm-hmm.
They wanted to see how it went,
Yeah.
and I think that probably is where that came from.
Mm-hmm.
Now, unfortunately, the deal at Pacemakers kind of fell through, and that deal never happened. But originally, that's what our intention was up there. And
Yeah.
I went through considerable grief over that deal. But
Yeah.
so I think that NHRA's, I think they've seen the writing on the wall as far as, when they first came out against Chief and all those guys and said they're going to pull their NHRA license for street racing.
Yeah.
I mean, that blew up in their face,
Oh yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
So I don't know that I really trust NHRA more than I can, any farther than I can throw them.
Yeah. A lot of people are thinking they're wanting to police it more, and
And I've got mixed feelings about that. I mean, there is some things that need to be probably taken care of better and dealt with better, some safety things for sure.
Yeah.
But at the same time, this is an outlaw thing. This is not,
Exactly.
it's the wild, wild west,
Yeah.
And people are free. It's the freedom that you have to go and race the way we race and do the things we do. And if NHRA gets involved in that, I think it'll kill it. But
Yeah.
I don't know. We'll have to see how that goes.
Yeah, I mean, it is cool. Like, I was at South Mountain. I'm about an hour from that track. Those Tommy Reek and New York Street Outlaws guys, they put one on at that little track, and that was the first one that was given out. And and it was pretty cool. I mean, everybody's always, that's been in the drag racing with like a Wally, and it's pretty cool. I just hope it doesn't, like you said, it doesn't kill it. And like you said, they don't like the word outlaw or no pro. They really aren't into that. But I think it's going to save some of these NHRA tracks. Like our local track is in Maryland, and they're big NHRA people, and they won't run back of the track or anything like that because they don't want to lose anything. It's a big bracket track, so
It's definitely an uphill battle.
yeah. So hopefully it doesn't. Hopefully it doesn't hurt anything, and it makes things better. But so we'll close this up soon. But what do you? Another question. What do you think about now that the big pots and stuff, of course, are Digger Dine's got a lot. You got that $250,000 race coming up. What do you think about the future of these no prep and with big teams and stuff coming in, of course? And
So no prep is evolving. You know, it started with COTS, really, and Outlaw Armageddon and some of those events. It started that way, front side of the track, straight track, no prep, and now it's evolving into running these tracks backwards on blacktop. And each type of no prep event kind of has its own hurdles. I mean, like if you're doing a no prep event for small tire cars on the front end of a track, it's really good. The better the surface is, the more classes you need to have to break it down, or the better the rule packages have to be. Now, when you go to dig or die, you know, a lot of people were upset that Bill Lutz was coming to that. Well, the rules were pretty well wide open. It was $100,000 to win advertised. You've got to expect that you're going to attract that caliber of car. Now, if it was at the front end of the track, I would say, you know, you're going to have some rules. But on the back end of it, running it backwards, Lutz don't street race. That car never makes a hit on the street on small tires. And anybody that really knows how to set chassis and suspension up to race at dig or die and do well can look at his car and tell you without any question, it's not going to win. And I think they realize that now. But I didn't have any problem with it because the surface is so bad. But if it was at the front end of the track going the other way, that would have killed the car count.
You're going to be in trouble.
You can't have cars like that racing against cars like Billy's truck and expect to draw a car count. And I don't know if Bill's deal hurt the car count. I know there was a lot of people that dropped out of it. I know there was a lot of controversy over it. It didn't bother us any.
No.
You know.
Of course you guys probably like that. So that's what separates a lot of people. That back of the track racing.
The big purses are going to bring big players. Always. And it's gonna drive people to get faster. But you know, the events that we started were never really intended to be ultra high dollar races like that. They were more or less for the local guys. And it just so happened that when we started doing it, it was so rare. There wasn't that many people doing it, so it attracted a lot of cars from out of state, from miles and miles away. And even though it did that, most of the cars were all legit street race cars. You know, they weren't pro mods, they weren't full tube chassis cars. But you know, eventually, as the payouts get bigger and bigger and bigger, you start to draw people from farther away, and the chassis get high dollar. And it evolves. So the higher the payout, you have to, the promoters, in my opinion, it's just my opinion, need to consider, are they hosting the event for legit street racers, yes or no? If it's yes, and they're wanting to do high dollar payout, it better be invite only. Because real street race cars that legit go out and really street race aren't pushed with a golf cart.
You're right.
You see what I'm saying? You see what I'm
Exactly.
getting? Because they might have to run.
Exactly.
You know, they might have to get out of it.
It's got to have alternator lights. You know,
You see what I'm saying?
Exactly.
I'm not knocking anybody.
No.
I'm just being honest.
If
it's about street racers and it's going to be a big purse, it better be invite only.
And I think
you have to be invited. Now, I will say this, I think that if dig or die, I don't know what those guys are going to do, and I don't want to guess, and I don't want to say, but you know, I think they're looking at making some rules changes. But I will say that, you know, I feel like that event was started for street racers. But not everybody that goes there street races.
No.
But most of the cars are street raceable cars, I will say that. But I think that eventually it's going to evolve to either an invitational that's part of the big show. Like we're having $100,000 heads up small tire shootout. Okay, fine. And then they've also got a street racers invitational.
Yeah,
You know
I think
what I mean?
I think that is a good idea. But like you said, it's gonna all these races, even the ones you started. You know, you figure you got a lot of bracket guys up here. You know, they started saying, well, they're running KD, no prep. You know, they're running this no prep. What happens? They put a set of small tires on it. They might go out the first time and, you know, might not do very good, but they figure it out. I mean, a ladder bar car, you know, you can make work a lot of older chassis stuff's ladder bar. And, you know, you don't have to have as much power. You know, you got a healthy small block on a kit, you know, you can run with these guys. And I think, and like I seen Manny Bagina, I don't know how he spells his last, or pronounce his last name, but they were at, Land of the Hurricane no prep there in Dominion before Dig or Die, and you know, Red Hat Mafia, Pro Line, Motor, you know, they were doing their homework. You know, they went out first round in the race, but like you said, when you bring them big pots, you're going to bring the big guys like that.
It's gonna happen. Here's what's gonna happen. Somebody sent me that video of Bagina. I don't know how you pronounce his last name.
I'm not sure either.
But someone sent me a video of that red Mustang testing at Land of Hurricane.
Yeah.
And they said, what do you think of this? I said, it's to be expected.
Yeah. Yep.
If you've got $100,000 or $250,000 purse, you're gonna expect to bring that caliber car.
Oh yeah.
Now, what those guys didn't realize is their radial cars, they're not gonna do shit on that surface.
No.
I don't care how good the traction control is. I don't care how good their shocks, their springs are.
Yeah.
The fact of the matter is those cars are built to run on a radial surface.
Yeah.
The weight's down low.
Yeah.
The weight's out on the nose.
Yeah. Center
And they
line's
don't-
low.
And they don't have the suspension travel that they need
No.
to do
You
what
have
they
to
have. It's
completely change the
It's
whole car.
a street race car, a legit street race car like Billy's S10 in there.
Yeah.
A legit street race car will never do very well on prep track. It will never do very well on radials. They'll wheelie.
Yeah.
That's all they're going to do is wheelie because they're built to street race.
Yeah.
And the same thing is true when you take a radial car and try to street race it. It doesn't do very well there either.
Exactly.
They're two totally different
Yeah.
chassis designs.
Yeah.
The weight bias, the shock and spring package, and the suspension travel is totally different.
You don't necessarily have to change the whole car.
You'd have to change the whole car.
Yeah.
But what they will start doing is these cats that are into radial racing and they're seeing these big pots, what they're going to do is start building two chassis small tire cars specifically
Yeah.
to
Purpose
do
built.
that,
Yeah.
purpose built.
Yeah.
And that is where you're going to start to have trouble. Now, we already been through this a couple years ago,
Yeah.
but, you know, I don't want to get into all that again.
Yeah.
But that's where it's headed.
Yeah.
If the pots continue to grow and get bigger and bigger and bigger, you're going to have guys that have well-funded teams, like some of these radial guys. They're going to start building purpose-built tube chassis cars to go out there and run this stuff. I think you're right.
Well, you know, I guess that's probably it for tonight. You know, I appreciate you doing an interview and stuff with us. Is there anybody you guys want to thank, or you know, for supporting you guys? Hughes, yep, Pete Nichols, he's the man. You know, that's what I'll be running my car.
Yeah, Hughes, Pete Nichols with Hughes is very good to us. Uncle Bob McVeigh up at McVeigh Automotive and Machine that does all our machine work. Vickers Performance Transmissions, Iski Racing Cams. There's so many. Gosh. Our fuel sponsor, Stinger Race Fuels, helps us a lot. There's so many.
Oh, I'm sure it's hard to.
It's hard to
yeah.
It's hard to remember them all, but that's the main ones, you know.
Yeah. I appreciate you doing it, man. And
Problem, bro.
good to see you tomorrow.
All right.